However,
moral
that being said, if you're going to say,
I'm
not done yet, Erudite,
I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
you're yapping.
I'm not done yet, Erudite, thank
apart
you. I'm not done yet, Kyla, thank you.
These smug liberals who are going high get clipped for the
We've never gone high.
things.
No, stop.
Never. We need to be more nice. We need to be more nice.
Of course we've gone high. Of course
we weren't nice enough in the
SoyPill. Yes, I've been waiting for 10 goddamn minutes listening to you rant. Shut up. Shut up. I'm talking.
The standard was so insane.
It's just annoying when you guys are being like, the Dems have always played it high. 2016, Hillary was not playing it high. It was absolutely dirty.
Can you name one not high comment?
Okay, wait,
what was dirty?
that's like
she
saying
said basket of deplorables, right? And they're still holding that over. Like that's
the
the worst thing you can point to.
The entire campaign was smearing him.
Every political smearing is smearing him.
Hold on.
All of the news. The news.
Am I reporting accurately or smearing? That's your problem. That's Trump's problem.
No.
Today, we are going to be talking about edgy jokes, dehumanization, and whether or not influencers, public figures, etc., on our side, the anti-Trump side, have a responsibility to behave well in public settings. As most of you are aware, after the Texas floods, Destiny put out a tweet saying the following: I heard God those kids because they were using NordVPN promo code Destiny to get around the Texas ban. This is not the first time Destiny is engaged in such dark humor. Asmongold recently made a comment that he thinks such statements and jokes are counterproductive and work against his goals. So we're going to talk about it today. Is this humor a good way to expose Republican hypocrisy and raise awareness of issues? Or is it undermining the work of opposing Trump? How dark woke, quote unquote, should we go? Does when they go low, we go lower help us or hurt us? And we've got quite the cast to talk about it, including the man himself. We're going to start with CounterPoints. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in my opinion, it's not about dark, edgy jokes in particular. Obviously, we all like a good fucked up joke every now and then. That's not the problem. The problem is what is gained and what is lost. Also, the hybridization of alt media and mainstream media. That's the real question here. Just as an example, I did get it confirmed that roughly billions of dollars were spent on advertising in the 2024 election, and roughly $100 million got spent on newspaper ads by the Democratic Party in 2024. Democrats are scared of alternative media. The reason why they're scared of alternative media is because we have people like Vosh jerking off to horse porn. We have people like Hassan, hanging out with terrorists. And we got Destiny talking about kids in Texas and how they deserve to die because they were jerking off to, with using a VPN. So this is the kind of shit that is going to push normies away. It's going to push the mainstream away. It's going to push those dollars away. And so as a result, it's not whether or not you can make fucked up jokes. I don't give a shit about that. What I give a shit about is we got real work to do.
Okay, Destiny, answer for your crimes.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much of a downside unless you let there be a downside. I think that conservatives are allowed to have humor. I thought comedy was legal again. I think that the big issue with Democrats being scared of alternative media is that they're scared of like any environment that they don't have like optimal control over. And I think they dramatically overestimate how much the public gives a fuck about edgy jokes. I think it has less to do with edgy jokes and more to do with who has the power in the situation. And so if you have the power, it's unironically like what conservatives used to say, find out who you can't make fun of, and then you'll find out who controls you. And for a lot of things, yeah, conservatives can just make the most insane jokes ever and be fine, and Democrats have to be like tiptoeing around every single topic. I think it's funny to make jokes, and we should keep making jokes. Fuck them.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it, I'm sure. Not so erudite. Kyla, please.
Yeah, so I wanted to have this conversation because I care about real political outcomes. I think if we claim to be evidence-based, left-leaning commentators who want to fight misinfo and push for positive change, we need to be honest about what works. So it's fine for advocacy to reflect our personalities, but if we just do something because it feels good, it's probably important that we don't confuse that with what's effective. And what I would argue for is we don't have to be maximally effective at all times, right? I would never advocate for that necessarily. But the evidence typically shows, whether it's psychological theory or basic behavioral science, that shame and being super nasty typically is a bad motivator for change, particularly for people who view you as the outgroup. And so in my mind, if the goal is to move people and actually shifts hearts and minds, we need to make sure that we're being mindful of like how we're coming across, right? If we want to claim moral superiority, well then we can't be doing things that make us look morally more questionable. If we think that scorching or going scorched earth and dunking leads to progress, we should probably stop kidding ourselves. It probably doesn't. And I think one of the things that I think is Stephen's strength specifically is his ability to kind of be that token liberal in conservative spaces. I think he's been effective at being like that one liberal where they go, this guy's pretty reasonable, which essentially introduces a fundamental binary paradigm shift for a lot of people listening. And I think that that's really important to do. And my suspicion is that this type of joke, while I don't really care about edgy jokes in and of themselves, my suspicion is that essentially this joke was more offensive than it was funny, and you lost a whole bunch of social capital with people that I think you could be more effective if you maintain that social capital with. I have a feeling that my criticisms of SoyPill and Steven will be somewhat different. So right now I'm angling them more at Steven, but I'm sure as we talk, there'll be stuff that is more directed at SoyPill. So
a few moments later.
If I'm not mistaken, did Destiny not go on Piers Morgan and then defend attack the hypocrisy to like a whole crowd of millions of people? Like, that is a conversation starter as much as you might not like it.
So Steven, that's an important question. Did you think that you were going to become is this an avant-garde marketing strategy? Did you think you were going to get an invite from Piers Morgan? You're like, I'm going to tweet out about kids jerking off to this is 100% going to result in people inviting me onto their shows?
Possibly. I would just like to clarify one part of the joke, though. You said that it was gross that they were underage and it was a porn joke. Well, that was why God was punishing them. If they were adults that were using NordVPN to watch porn, then God wouldn't punish them. So it wouldn't make any sense, would it, Connor?
No, God would still punish
Number
them.
one.
Because,
Number two. Wait, real quick. To answer the question, because did I know I could invite it? I don't know. Maybe not. I generally, at this point, when it comes to edgy humor conservatives, I don't necessarily make these jokes with like some huge grand master plan in mind. I just think liberals need to be way less fucking soy about making fun of conservatives for retarded shit. They've like moved the window of acceptable behavior so unbelievably far in one direction that at this point I refuse to be policed by actual subhuman degenerate filth about what we can or can't joke about when they make the most unhinged degenerate jokes ever. And I have seen absolutely zero evidence whatsoever that this go low, go high, whatever bullshit has ever worked ever for liberals. It seems like all of the most popular moments have usually been when they're kind of roasting the other side a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. And it feels like liberals are the ones that have the most negative reactions to it.
Is that why Beto O'Rourke won in Texas? Was because he was being so hardcore when he said that I'm going to take away your AR-15s? Was he giga chatting in that moment? Was that a popular take that he had?
I don't know, but the most popular take I remember Beto O'Rourke having about weapons was when he said something about like fuck your AR-15s. There was a big deal. He cussed
yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So obviously you can be giga chat about good things and you can be giga chat about bad things, and you can get punished for being giga chat about bad things and rewarded for being giga chat about good things, right? This stands to reason.
I don't know, that wasn't really a joke he was making though. He was just saying a swear word, no?
Yeah, but you made correct me if I'm wrong, but you made the argument that the time that Democrats have most succeeded is when they haven't been soy, when they haven't been milquetoast, and they've stand on business. Well, I feel like Beto
I don't know if they've ever gotten credit. I don't think they've ever gotten credit ever for being like kind and nice to conservative stuff. I just don't know where this is happening.
I don't think we're asking you to be kind or nice. I think you could have been
no, not about me. I'm just saying that in general on the Democrat side, this like call to being kind and compassionate and empathetic and understanding. I just don't know if like Democrats have ever gotten credit ever on that.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody calls you pussies. Yeah.
I just want to make sure to reframe this because even SoyPill's opening made it seem like this is about edgy jokes, which is understandable because I think for Wick it's about edgy jokes. I'm not totally sure. I just want to be very clear. I don't give a fuck about edgy jokes. I don't give a single rip. You make as many edgy jokes as you want to. I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. What I care about here fundamentally is our predisposition and how we are willing to talk to the opposing side. And I think that that is something that is decaying, not just amongst leftists, which it never existed, but I'm seeing it decay within liberals, and I think that that is harmful to our cause, right? So in the case of like Steven's edgy joke, okay, well, yeah, unfortunately, it was way more offensive than it was funny. It was a little fancy, it was a lot offensive, and it was made more offensive by the timing. So it flopped to even the point that the left didn't like it, right? But again, I don't really care. I'm not interested in just policing people's edgy joke. What I'm interested in is thinking about how we talk to and engage with one another. For example, SoyPill, the way that you talk to Tally on that panel, I think is part of the problem. I don't think that this is how you are ontologically all the time, but I think this idea where we talk to people of opposite ideas, we go as aggressive as possible, and we try to tear down not just like who they are, but their humanity. I mean, some of the statements that I quoted from you saying I think were like pretty shitty. It's not just about you're being a little bit mean. It's this entire orientation which says if we want democracy to work, we have to be able to talk to the other side. And while I'll be the first to say that I think the right is full of crazy people and assholes, they're crazy people and assholes that we have to be able to talk to and convince to our side. And I'm not seeing that like the smug nastiness or scorched earth policy that I would criticize Stephen of with, say, like maybe a Tectone or an Asmongold is going to be effective for polaring particularly moderates and undecided towards our position.
Wait, real quick, just as a real quick thing on that. Isn't that exactly what Trump did with the entire tech bro movement though? Like, didn't he pull in a bunch of people, like record high Hispanic voters, record high tech bro people, Elon Musk, like with the most divisive and vitriolic and toxic rhetoric ever? Didn't he pull in a ton of random?
Yeah, sure, but people are stupid.
But are we assuming,
hold on. I want to back up Aaron.
Let Kyla finish, please. Let Kyla finish.
The issue is you would have to submit to me evidence that it was him being a fucking asshole versus Kamala, A, getting switched last minute so they didn't even know who they were voting for, and B, on top of that, her entire mantra was essentially, let's keep things the same, when people desperately wanted change. So maybe
the point,
it was
Kyla, the point isn't that it's attracting voters necessarily. It's the point is that it's clearly not alienating all these moderates, that they're still voting for him in these record high numbers. Like, this isn't some poison that's going to destroy the Democratic Party and their chances of...
All right. So here's my fucking frustration with this, okay? I get exactly what you said, and on top of that, plurality of tactics, all right? So if Steven wants to be fucking edgy, you want to have debates, and then you want to be nice to some people but mean to some people, I totally understand a plurality of tactics, okay? But what I'm saying is there's something so fundamentally obvious that should be acknowledged by every single fucking Democrat and isn't, which is effectively on October 7th, 2023, you had tons of progressives, not just leftists, saying, well, you know, Palestinians live in an open-air prison, so what was Hamas supposed to do, while there's people getting raped and murdered on Twitter, and then a bunch of Jews go, oh shit, my progressive coalition, my multi-ethnic, multi-religious coalition actually views me as subhuman and laughs when my people get murdered. What the fuck?
Yeah,
and they got turned off, they moved away from the Democrats.
The issue here isn't about edgy jokes. The issue is that legitimately a lot of people on the left supported Hamas terrorist attacking Israel. I think that was the issue.
Well, no shit. That's why I brought it up in my intro.
Well, yeah, but this
in my
isn't
intro.
an
I
issue.
said no calls to violence. Dude.
Well, but
that's like
this isn't an issue of like edgy humor. This is an issue of like really incompatible policy positions. I think. I think the issue when it comes to this like weird like joke or rhetoric policing is you've got like I don't know enough about Talia, but was that her name? Talia? Tali? Tali. Okay. So I'm not saying she's an extremist or whatever, just because I just don't know her positions. But it feels like when talking about her, it's the equivalent of like SoyPill or the SoyPill over here is like somebody who speeds occasionally in his car, and Tali is like kind of sort of wanting to support the mob. And then, you know, we've got the SoyPill speeding in his car, and we're like, well, she's just not going to side with you if you're a criminal. And it's like, okay, I just don't think speeding is that big of a deal. It's not really about the speeding. It's the fact that how are you aligned with the mob and complaining about one side speeding? That just doesn't make any sense to me. That's soy as fuck. Not in the SoyPill way, but like in an actual like...
Okay, hold on. Stop. We have to stop framing this as an edgy joke issue. Maybe that's Connor's issue. I don't know. And this isn't even a moral issue to me, to be super frank. What I'm talking about is effectiveness. I do not think that super divisiveness is what is effective. I don't think it's what's been effective for Trump at all in any way, because he lost in 2016 despite getting smeared aggressively by the Democrats. He still won, had a weak presidency, and then Joe Biden won because everyone was sick of how divisive he was. And then he won again, but again, in large part, I think Biden
won because of COVID. I think COVID fucked the whole world up and everybody was mad, but it's like Trump literally tried to steal the presidency and like didn't lose as bad as anywhere as he should have, and then he won again. And Trump is like probably the most divisive president or person period that I've seen in, I don't know, my lifetime. So it just seems like the divisiveness is not a thing that scares people away from your movement. I just don't know where that idea comes from, because especially if you look at the big group of people that vote for him, white people, like what's the reason they cite the most for wanting to be with Trump? It's like wokeness, which seems to play right into divisive and edgy jokes.
I'm not saying don't be mean. That's never been my position. I'm clearly mean to people all the time. What I'm saying is we have to be mean effectively. And I don't think scorched earth is effective policy. In the case of your joke, it was funny, and I bet you if you gave it 2 weeks to breathe, it might have actually landed super well. Unfortunately, it didn't, because the offensive level was higher than the funniness, probably because of the immediacy of the event happening. Unfortunately, right? I'm not saying don't make those jokes.
That analysis can't ever be applied to anything for conservatives, though. Why do we have two forms of analysis?
I don't give a fuck about conservatives winning.
You just said,
I don't care about them
you
winning.
should care about it because you're saying you care about political effectiveness. They just won both halves of Congress. They controlled the Supreme Court, and they won the presidency even with a popular vote. So clearly what they're doing is effective. So I don't know how we can say, well, I don't care what the conservatives do. I just want to be effective.
This is
and they're the most effective they've ever been.
Trump calling people rats? Is that what's effective?
I think that's what people like about him. If you ask people what do they like about Trump, they don't say the policy. They don't know any of Trump's policies. They don't say, they just say, he tells it like it is, meaning he makes fun of people.
I'm not going to let it slide. But I'm calling bullshit right now, okay? So number one, I've had DGG in my fucking comments for the past fucking week because I've effectively had my milquetoast criticism of the fucking take or whatever. And what they've all said is like, well, look at how mean Tectone was. And look how mean and stupid Asmongold is. And look how mean and stupid Donut Operator was in reference to the Palisades fire. And so I go and check the tweets and they go, fuck you, Biden. So where's the direct analog to this specific behavior where you're making fun of dead people?
Where, first of all, it wasn't just fuck you, Biden. One was a fuck you to a request for FEMA funds, I think. Another one was blaming Biden and calling him old and decrepit for he didn't go to either Texas or California or something. Another one was like making fun of LGBT people and DEI. Is it the exact equivalent? No, but it's like insanely tasteless. What is the...
Is that equivalent to mocking the dead?
So
I don't give a fuck about mocking the dead. I'll make fun of the dead right now. I'm talking about other people who care about that shit.
An equivalent to mocking the dead. An equivalent to mocking the dead would be all of the Democrats, or not the Democrats, it would be Tim Pool and others who are making fun of the one dude on the street in New York that got stabbed to death in front of his girlfriend, who are like, this is exactly the kind of thing that these guys vote for. Or the go-to example is the...
celebrate it when they're all burning.
Hold on. This isn't about being equivocal. This isn't about being equivocal. This isn't about being equivocal.
This is bullshit.
No,
I'm not going
we
to let it
have to
slide.
have a higher standard. We already hold ourselves to a higher standard than Republicans. They have no morals. Have you not read Lauren Southern's book? You have people unironically taking money to peddle false information. It's only the right that has done bad things.
But is it moral standards or is it political effectiveness? Which one is it then? Those are two different things.
Hold on. And before we move on,
we
I
should
want
do
to
whatever
issue
the
a
Republicans
challenge.
do because they're already doing bad stuff. And I am saying, I don't know if these are the standards that we want to hold ourselves to. For example, if it is, why don't you just spread a bunch of misinfo and start paying for bot farms?
The question is whether we want political effectiveness or moral standards. I think there's a different morality about making fun of people versus like lying about stuff. I would argue that these are two different things. But the question is just, are we talking about political effectiveness or are we talking about like having some go high when they go low road moral standard
So hold
thing?
on. I want to make one point and I want to challenge the audience, okay? Because what I'm hearing is turnabout is fair play. And so what I'm looking about is turnabout. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So if you want to come up with other egregious behaviors that the right wing is engaged in, I'm going to agree with you. I endlessly bitch about the $9 billion rescission package that's projected to kill 14 million people. Trust me, I care way more about that than I care about Steven's fucked up joke, okay? However, that being said, if you're going to say, I'm not done yet, Erudite,
I'm sorry, you're yapping.
I'm not done yet, Erudite, thank you. I'm not done yet, Kyla, thank you.
Okay,
I'm not done yet,
Kyla, let CounterPoints finish.
I'm not done yet.
CounterPoints finish.
Thank you.
Land your plane.
All right, thank you. Anyways, so I challenge you, send it to my DMs, send it to my email, show me where these alt media pundits have been shitting on the dead people in the Palisades fires. Send it to me. I'll tell you, talking about, prepubescent kids off, that's probably the least politically effective aspect of the joke.
Wouldn't it be schlicking in this case because they're mostly girls?
The point being that I am about political efficacy insofar as we're trying to figure out how to combine alt media and normal media. Okay, that's what we're trying to figure out how to do. We're also trying to figure out how to get mainstream politics to talk to alt media political people. And what's happening is we're talking about this fucked up joke, and I am here to police the jokes a little bit, and I'm bringing it up, and Steven's probably the most successful person here, and he's like, lol, wouldn't it specifically be female style of masturbation? And I'm telling you, that's the exact kind of fucking thing. It's funny. I'm not going to say it's not funny, but that's the exact kind of thing that if I try to book with a mainstream person and I say, hey, I have this guy, he's huge in alt media. He's got tens of thousands of listeners. He's got millions of post-recorded views. He wants to canvas. He wants to be active. Can we do an interview together? And then if somebody takes that clip and they blow it up, they're going to be like, isn't that the guy who talks about like prepubescent female masturbation? And they're going to say no. So you're right. I do want to police your jokes a little bit.
Yeah, but like, what's the worst part? What's the worst part that would make me unbookable? Do you know what it is?
Well, I would say probably your abrasive personality in sex dramas.
No, I would say it's the fact that I'm on the left. You don't have to go to abrasive personality in sex dramas. Andrew Tate was like the leading red pillar for 2 years, and the conservatives fucking loved him.
That's actually a half decent point.
So I mean, like, he was invited into the White House, by the way, and like that's not stopping any of these people from getting invited on shows. If anything, the problem you're describing, Connor, is that the left needs to be less uptight about who they invite on shows, which, by the way, they're pivoting to. I don't know if you've heard like the Washington Post story from today, but they are realizing that like disowning people, over policing for this kind of stuff is a waste of time and it's not working.
And I think the big issue is that like we keep saying like people don't like condescension, or people love condescension. They just like it when it's on their side. People absolutely do. You can see a billion Republican people looking at Trump and everybody else being condescending as fuck to their political adversaries. People like it. They just don't like when it's directed at them.
Your own side.
Exactly.
It
yes.
Your own side, but that's not effective in pulling the opposite side.
Politics isn't won by polling the opposite side. The goal shouldn't be how do I appeal to my diametrically opposed political enemies at all points in time. At some point, you have to have.
How do I appeal to moderates?
How about appealing to our own side of people that like can go out and vote? How about appealing to like your own party members that are like these are Democrats that feel demotivated as fuck and don't like to actually go out and do anything because our whole party is just living constantly in the criticism of conservatives who have never in their lives considered criticism from the left.
Stephen, part of why you're effective is because you can do both. And what I'm saying,
I'm not a politician, so there's like a double. It's careful. I'm not trying to get elected, so there's like a different type of thing that I'm going for. I'm just saying that like people on the
rally
right
behind politicians, and that's going to get you're very effective at getting people politically active. What I'm saying here is that, like, I guess to SoyPill, right? I understand that your position is not to be mean people to get them to change their votes. Got it. My criticism to you on the Tally thing specifically is that when you're mean to Tally and when you talk about her in such a smug, condescending, and disregarding way, you're signaling to her and everyone like her that basically you look down at them as subhumans. None of those people.
Hold on. I never used the word subhuman, but I do look down on them, and I'm going to be very explicit in public about that. And I think that anger is the same thing that a lot of people who are disaffected on the left, who feel like they don't have people who will go out and say what people like, you know, the same people to say, oh, Trump says it like it is. There's a swath of leftists that are like, why are these Democrats being so fucking nice to these people that are killing my family, who are stripping their rights away? And I'm like, hey, dipshit, you should not be the authority here. That's very different from reaching out to specific voters. And if people clip that, whatever, but we tried being perfect for 2 fucking elections, and they're going to clip everything from the perfect party of the like the most wait, hold on, these smug liberals who are going high get clipped for the
We've never gone high
things.
No, stop.
Never. We need to be more nice. We need to be more nice.
Of course we've gone high. Of course
we weren't nice enough in the.
SoyPill,
Let me clear.
fuck
It's
this. I've been
5 out
waiting
of
for 10
6.
goddamn minutes.
5 out of
Listen to you
6.
fucking rant.
5
Shut
out
the
of
fuck
6
up.
people
Shut up.
were
Shut up. Shut up. I'm talking. I don't want to hear.
My whole point is there are other people like
no, Erudite, still talking. White man, sit down. Listen. Jesus Christ. So anyways, the whole fucking point of this is that you were like, oh, Democrats were so nice over the past fucking 10 years. Where the fuck was that? What the fuck are you talking about? It's Democrats sweeping for the BLM riots of 2020. It's
just to be clear, in the entirety of all the we have the fiery but mostly people from the one CNN Chiron or whatever, the Chiron, that one thing compared to
wait, then I'll gaslight you right back.
Wait, you gaslight me back, but hold on, just to be clear, we're comparing that to the entire subhuman conservative apparatus claiming that Haitians in the United States were eating cats and dogs, and that message got repeated by the president of the United States of America on a debate, and then it was repeated by the vice president, J.D. Vance, and he said, I knew it was a fucking lie, but it gets people talking. And now you want to hold us to some standard of, well, remember when that one CNN during the BLM riots had the thing in the background? It's like, fuck that bullshit. Make fun of kids and fuck all of it. It's fucking retarded. The standards are so insane.
Wait. The argument doesn't need to be that Dems were holy and perfect and that Republicans are bad. Republicans are way worse than the Dems have ever been. It's just annoying when you guys are being like, the Dems have always played it high. 2016, Hillary was not playing it high. It was absolutely
one
dirty.
not high comment. That said, what was dirty?
That's like
she
saying,
said basket of deplorables, right? And they're still holding that over. Like that's
the entire
the worst thing you can point to.
The entire campaign was smearing him.
I just want to be clear.
smearing.
Hold on.
All of the news. The news.
By reporting accurately and smearing, that's your problem. That's Trump's problem.
No. Okay, I have a relevant point. I want to make it before anybody else fucking gets in. Kyle Rittenhouse specifically. I already know that this is a perfect point about Democrats misbehaving very badly in reference to this because Steven recognizes this point. All the progressives, all the fucking libs, and the mainstream media establishment, and the president of the United States himself ran with the narrative that a 16-year-old kid grabbed an assault rifle and committed a mass shooting against BLM fucking protesters and killed 3 black people in Kenosha, Wisconsin. But as soon as you watch the fucking video, it's obviously not true. The reason why I respected Steven so much was because he was willing to pursue truth over what was convenient for his political side. I actually stopped respecting Vosh as much because he went exclusively with what was convenient to his political side. So
Wait,
if
what did
you guys
Biden
start
say?
engaging
What did
in that
Biden
behavior,
say?
I will lose respect for you.
What did Biden say? Didn't Biden say that he would respect the court's decision on the Rittenhouse case?
Yeah, he did. He also retweeted out a video calling him a white supremacist mass shooter.
So,
right.
Well, hold on, wait. It was like it was implied with the way that the compilation video, but like the fact that you just said that is crazy to me.
Do you think that it matters that the
percentage
president
of
of the United States calls you a white supremacist mass shooter? Obviously, it does.
I think that if you're going to obsess over a single video that was made that he retweeted on his account, and you're going to claim that like, oh my God, this was so horrible, and ignore the 50 trillion insane things that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, the leader of MAGA and the Republican Party, says daily, that's a standard that we're never going to win, which is why we just make fun of dead kids and everything else, because you're never going to appeal to people like you. It'll never work. You'll always be able to find one person. You'll always be able to find one bad person on Twitter, one bad lawmaker, whatever, one bad person that says anything. And then meanwhile, Republicans are like rapid firing out the most innocent things ever. You want to talk about Rittenhouse? What about George Floyd?
Okay, Steven, you've gotten lazy in your argumentation. I'm not that guy. I talk about George Floyd.
I'm not talking about you. This ain't about you, Chief. This isn't about you. This isn't about you. I don't care about you. You're never Trumper. This isn't about you. This isn't about you.
Because they've lost their fucking mind.
This isn't about you. This is about the electorate.
Yeah, it's about you.
No, it's not about me. It's about the electorate. I thought we were having a conversation about the electorate.
No, it's about you.
What is it about me? I'm voting probably for the Dems no matter what.
You're engaged in bad behavior that I think is ineffective and counterproductive, and I don't like it.
What I'm saying is that if you look at the overall rhetoric in this country, it seems to be that everybody on the Republican side can be the most degenerate fucking people they want, and they don't. It doesn't seem to be ineffective for them.
That permission or license,
but it works.
So then why don't we just start doing misinfo? Why don't we just start doing misinfo?
Because I think misinfo is bad.
Yeah, so is like
edgy
treating other people like they're subhuman. I didn't say edgy jokes.
Being condescending to somebody is not a morally horrible thing to do. It's just rude.
Nobody fucking said it was.
Then why are you comparing that to lying?
That would be my argument, is that edgy jokes are totally fine. In the case of these edgy jokes, your timing made them more offensive than they were funny. So
wait, then your issue is edgy jokes. You can't say, I would prefer an edgy joke at a later point in time. That makes it not an edgy joke anymore. That's the whole point.
No,
yes.
No, I think making fun of dead kids is always an edgy joke.
Okay, so then then the time thing you just said was completely irrelevant. You just don't ever want people to make fun of dead kids.
Nope. I literally didn't say that. Do you want me to restate it?
Yes, just said it was too close to the event, essentially. That's kind of what you're going for.
It made it probably more offensive to people. In the case of this edgy joke that he made, because it was so close to the event and it was quote tweeting people actively looking for the kids, people found it more more than they found it funny, which is why it didn't hit hard. I don't personally care either way. I do think it's ineffective in this case. I don't give a fuck.
I'll go ahead and stand on business that as a 40-year-old man, you shouldn't talk about 12-year-old off. That's my perspective.